People are told that their bodies are temples and that they should treat them as such. But what happens when they don't have the means to take care of themselves? There is a pattern where different studies are pulled about weight and unhealthy diets, and the media talks about obesity rates a couple times out of the year. This has been happening for years. This annual occurrence is very questionable. Some people who are adults now may remember seeing posters of the food pyramid and Got Milk celebrity posters plastered on the walls of their elementary school cafeterias. Some may remember being taught to spot the block, where they were encouraged to observe the nutrition block of information on the back of a snack they were eating. In recent years, there have been studies and statistics released about increasing obesity rates. The most recent statistics come from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, which states that from 1999 through 2017 to March 2020, U.S. obesity prevalence increased from 30.5% to 41.9%. During the same time, the prevalence of severe obesity increased from 4.7 to 9.2%. When having these conversations, people should first try to define what obesity is. According to the World Health Organization, obesity is a chronic complex disease defined by excessive fat deposits that can impair health. Obesity can lead to risk, type 2 diabetes and heart disease. It can affect bone health and reproduction. It increases the risk of certain cancers. Obesity influences the quality of living, such as sleeping or moving. Obesity is defined as a chronic disease, meaning that there are several factors that contribute to the development of obesity. So many people think that someone being obese is their fault, and that's it. There are so many things contributing to these situations that people refuse to acknowledge. There are people who will judge and cast blame onto others for being obese. Healthline addresses this in an article entitled 9 Reasons Why Obesity is Not Just a Choice. These reasons that were listed are genetics and prenatal factors, birth, infancy, and childhood habits, medications or medical conditions, powerful hunger hormones, leptin resistance, poor nutrition education, addictive junk food, effects of gut bacteria, and the environment. These are the many factors that contribute to this, and there are others. According to the National Institute of Health, the term food deserts describe neighborhoods and communities that have limited access to affordable and nutritious foods. In the United States, food deserts tend to be located in Black and brown communities or rural low-income neighborhoods where residents have a lack of access to supermarkets or grocery stores that offer healthy food choices. Going back to the CDC report on obesity rates, non-Hispanic Black adults, 49.9%, had the highest age-adjusted prevalence of obesity, followed by Hispanic adults at 45.6%, non-Hispanic white adults 41.4%, and non-Hispanic Asian adults 16.1%. There comes a time where people just have to sit down and ask themselves, why do they feel the need to target minority and low-income communities when building these fast food franchises? This is an example of blaming the result of the problem instead of blaming the problem or addressing the problem. The problem is that young people in these communities are not given a fair chance at living a healthy life. When they become so used to eating from these places in their communities, that is what they become adapted to. This is not to say that habits cannot change, because they can. People who have lived their entire lives in an environment that promotes and encourages unhealthy eating habits have a harder time breaking away from those habits. Many of these fast food franchises serve food that contains addictive ingredients. When people talk about obesity and who is most likely to develop this chronic disease, they need to address the societal factors that contribute to this disease. There's a reason beyond what is often stated, and it's more complicated than just people needing to change their dietary habits. It's easy when someone has grown up in a community where they were surrounded with businesses that provided healthy food choices. However, it will be difficult for someone else who grew up in a community where they were surrounded by fast food franchises that only sold unhealthy food choices. There are also certain health conditions that cause uncontrollable weight gain. This is another case where weight gain and obesity is out of one's control. There are certain hormonal related conditions that can lead to obesity, such as an underactive thyroid, Cushing's syndrome, and polycystic ovary syndrome, the National Institute of Health reported. The overall purpose of this podcast is to bring awareness to this issue, because the narrative that has spread throughout the media needs to be changed. Body shaming, which involves criticizing the weight or size of another person, has always existed, but it has especially become an issue on social media. In the beginning, it was mentioned that people often point fingers and shame others who are obese instead of focusing on the real problem. The real issues need to be addressed. Maybe one day, people living in society will come to an understanding for those who are in a situation that may be hard to understand. People should not judge others who are in different situations that they don't understand, because they will not understand until they are living in their shoes.